Shalom. Good afternoon, Brother Randy here. Busy after a hard day's work and just relaxing, spending time with my baby girl. And in this video, I wanted to talk about overall fiscal responsibility. I've been doing a couple of videos just talking about, how do you go about saving money? How do you go about getting out of debt? How do you go about, just being more fiscally responsible? And I'm just going to talk generally about that right now. It is important for anybody in a leadership position, whether it be first and foremost a head of a family, or any leadership position, or whether it is a president, a congressman, a reverend, what they call it out there. Anybody in a president of a company, it is very important to practice fiscal responsibility. We're in a time in this country right now where there is great social change that is taking place. And the reason why it's taking place, as it's taking place in the Babylonian Empire, or all of these empires, especially the Roman Empire and now this American Empire, is the reason why we're collapsing is a couple of reasons. But the central reason is the economics. They're not calling it a spiritual collapse. They're not calling it a social collapse. They're not calling it a health collapse. They're calling it an economic collapse. And the reason why they're calling it an economic collapse is because when the money goes awry in a country or a nation, so does everything else. We've lost our ability to have just weights and measures like the Bible says. And when you can print money out of thin air, and Bitcoin is just nothing but another derivative of people looking for the greater fool. And people are looking for something for nothing. A digital illusion of wealth that does not exist. We must be fiscally responsible as men and as leaders, because the reason why we're in this condition in this country is because your congressmen, your leaders, your presidents, the people in leadership positions that live off of you. See, they live off of you. You don't live off of them. They take money from you, and they live high and fat on a hog off your back. And the reason why they don't have to practice any kind of fiscal responsibility is because they don't have to work. You got to work. You see the scam? You see the bullshit scam that these people are playing on the people? They live off your back, not the other way around. They depend on you. You don't depend on them. You must be fiscally responsible overall, because if you're not fiscally responsible, the Bible talks over and over and over again about a person that does not know how to handle money. And the situation that they ultimately end up in is slavery. And I'm seeing it right before my very eyes. I'm seeing people that are fiscally irresponsible, and as a direct result of fiscal irresponsible, them being fiscally irresponsible, they're slaves. And this is the central reason why we're in the state when it comes to our families, when it comes to our communities, when it comes to our nation, our states as a whole. The globe as a whole is drowning in debt because we lack the ability to lead financially. Chris Duane says it over and over again. If you want to change the world, be that change that you want to see in the world. Because the world is just not going to change. These people that live off your back, they're not going to change. Don't expect them to change. You have to change. You have to be fiscally responsible, because they're going to continue to be fiscally irresponsible. So you must be responsible. And if you're not responsible, you're not going to experience the brunt of the choice and decisions like they do, because they live off your back. Personally, I wouldn't submit to myself to any person in any leadership position if they themselves don't know how to handle money. Very critical. Very critical. And this is what we have. We have snakes and dogs in leadership positions that don't know how to handle money, and the people suffer as a direct result of it. You have your congressmen, your presidents, these people that rule over you, and they have no regard for you, and they exploit you, and they're not going to change. So therefore, you have to remove yourself from those situations, because, hey, if you don't, you're going to end up in a tyrannical situation like we see happening in this country. Debt slaves. Impoverished and stricken men, women, and families. All why? Because you lack the fiscal responsibility yourself. I'm going to be doing a video probably in another month or so talking about estate planning and what you as families and as men need to do to ensure that you're protecting your wife and your children, to ensure that they're never in a situation where they're financially destitute as a direct result of something that you did or failed to do. Practice fiscal responsibility and get around other people that are fiscally responsible. If you don't, you're going to suffer like a lot of people are. And it's a shame to see. Would you listen to a person that is not fiscally responsible? Would you follow a person that's not fiscally responsible? If you do, you're a damn fool, and you deserve exactly what you get. Shalom.